who's going to give us a view from government on AI before the two of us will have a conversation on stage. So I'd like to ask the Minister up to give us the view.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, since the first summit at Bletchley Park, the AI Fringe has been an essential way to bring more people into the conversation, and especially those who haven't always had a seat at the table. And because if AI is going to work for everyone, it needs to be shaped by everyone. Sorry. We know what happens when technologies are built only by certain people. Facial recognition systems can struggle to detect people with darker skin. Early versions of health trackers on our phones didn't know how to record the movement of people who use wheelchairs. And the first voice assistants were only tested by male developers, so they couldn't recognize female voices. I know why my speaker ignores me, and also my 3.5-year-old who shouts constantly at Siri to play Elsa's song. It doesn't recognize it. That's a good thing at the moment for me. But the opportunities that AI will bring to the UK are huge. You don't need me to tell you that. Like the economic growth, new jobs, better public services. But those must be opportunities that everyone gets to enjoy, gets to benefit from. So I'm really glad we're all here to have this conversation. So massive thanks to Milltown partners and everyone involved in putting together the Fringe today. And tomorrow, of course. So I was in Paris last week in the lead up to this summit, and I spoke at an event to foster the relationships between UK and France, and I met my French counterpart, Clara Chapez, and I joined the Tech 7 meetings as well. And together, we reckon with the shared opportunities and challenges offered by AI. And I was especially interested to hear about my French counterparts' proposals around how they were looking to diffuse AI across their public services and their plans to utilise the opportunities that AI has for transforming public services, as I said. So this summit is a chance for the UK to reassert ourselves as the AI superpower we are, and to keep building the international partnerships that take us all further. Because let's remember where the UK stands at the moment. We're the third biggest market for AI in the world. £200 million a day in investment pouring into AI since the government took office, and a world-leading track record on safety. And we were very proud to host the first summit at Bletchley. And it's been amazing to see them evolve since. But we're just getting started. We've got big ambitions to unlock the economic growth AI can bring. The AI Opportunities Action Plan is a ticket to doing just that. Some of the highlights from the AI Opportunities Action Plan are that we'll make our computing power 20 times greater by 2030. And that includes creating AI growth zones, local hotspots that will have more power and faster planning permission to attract new firms and investments. And yesterday, we launched our call for areas to put their names forward. And I'm determined that AI revolution is felt across the whole of the UK. We'll unlock the public data that UK businesses need to train AI models on. We'll strengthen our talent pipeline and will use AI to give people better public services. Because in our schools, for example, AI can give kids ways to learn what suits them better. In hospitals, it can predict diseases and save lives. We've got to make sure that's accessible to someone in NHS ward in Dundee, and not just private rooms at Harley Street. And our AI action plan will make sure that growth we'll see from AI doesn't leave people behind. So we'll build skills at every level: schools, university, work, and for members of the public, to bridge that AI divide. That will include initiatives to make the talent pool more diverse and to make sure small businesses, who make up 99% of all UK businesses, don't miss out. And a new AI Energy Council will work with energy companies to find ways to power AI using clean energy as much as possible. So the message that the UK brought to Paris was very clear. We will keep building global partnerships to help us all advance. We have big plans for how AI will unlock growth in the UK, and we know that this can be growth that takes people with us. So businesses, big and small, kids at school, patients in hospital waiting room. AI for everyone is a beautiful ambition, and I look forward to chatting further about how we will get there. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you for taking the time on what I'm sure is a very busy week and a very busy job. I'm going to start with the summit. I'd love for you to give us a bit more of an overview of sort of what the UK's ambition was going into the summit, and whether or not you think we've sort of reached that ambition.
So I went to the summit last week, and my journey started in Bletchley, where I went to open up a new exhibition on AI called The Age of AI. And I literally ran to catch a train to get to Paris. And it was really, really great. As I said, I took part in a meeting with Tech7, which is basically the trade bodies from different European countries. And for me, the summit was a great opportunity to showcase some of the great work that we've got going in the UK, and to showcase our businesses, but to ensure that people know that UK is open for business, and that and it was also a great opportunity to make links with with networking with businesses and other like-minded nations. But we've been working with our French counterparts for the past 6 months to make sure that the summit was a great success. So it was actually quite good to go and see how it was going, and they had done because it wasn't just like the 2 days this week, that the whole week of events, and it was a real success. It was a really fantastic opportunity, really.
Great, and I have to ask, we of course haven't signed the declaration alongside the US. Why not? With these summits, there's always there are conversations and discussions ongoing right to the 11th hour, and we've worked really closely with France. They are incredible. They're an important ally when it comes to AI, and we did sign up to a lot of the other initiatives that were set out at the summit. But we tried right to the end. There were areas within the agreement that we didn't quite agree with, and that we couldn't agree with on, so that's why we didn't sign. Okay, great. This summit has had a much broader focus than the UK summit in Bletchley had.
It's brought in a much wider variety of partners with many more people involved. And I wondered if you could tell us a bit about, in the sort of 6 months of prep that's come into that, whether or not you think that's been sort of for the benefit of the summit and what you think the difference has been.
I think I would just say, going back to when I joined the department, when we started, when we took control after the election in July, a lot of work had been done on safety of AI, and you'd had Bletchley and SIL summits, and lots of work had been done around that. But it was right that we start now exploring the potential of AI, the opportunities that it brings to our communities, to our countries, but also the opportunity, the potential of AI to improve lives globally and see how we. So I think the summit must really congratulate President Macron. They genuinely did do a really good job on looking at how we can, utilize the potential of AI globally. So it's not just for the benefit of a few countries. Sorry, it's very bright.
Yeah, and you spoke there about the potential of AI, which I think is sort of a neat segue for us into the AI Opportunities Action Plan. Something that certainly I'm really interested in hearing your view on is, you talked about SMEs. For everyone to feel the benefit of this, it's going to need to get in to the pockets of SMEs rather than just the largest businesses. I wonder what the government's view is on how to encourage that diffusion and adoption of technology.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. If we're going to realise the full potential of AI, we are absolutely going to have our SMEs adopting AI, for example. So to that end, and I think it's really important that we as a government, as we've set out in the Opportunities Action Plan, that we are bringing forward that the skill set that is needed to support our businesses to be able to realise the potential. So to that end, we're working with DFE and Skills England to make sure that we are training and we're bringing forward those the skilled people to actually work within the sector. But it's also about making sure that we've got so you've got lots of potential. You've got lots of amazing small small AI companies who need access to the data that government, vast amounts of data, really good quality data that the government sits on at the moment. So it's about making some of that data available to train future models on and to develop products. But it's also, and I think one of the biggest areas that the government needs to look at is how we as a government can be a customer. Because we talk about, when we came, I don't need to tell anyone in this room who's made use of a GP, NHS, or any of our services are on their knees. There's a lot of reform, there's a lot of work going on into trying to improve our public services. But to improve our services and to make sure they were able to deliver that improvement across the country, we are looking at how we diffuse AI across public sector. So I think government as a customer will help support and grow the private sector. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot we need to do. And I think gone are the days that, we just, when it comes to economic growth, we just let the market do whatever it needs to. I think government absolutely has a role to play, an enabler role, and to support the sector. Hence we're taking every single one of the recommendations in the AI Opportunity Action Plan forward.
Great, and those I think it's 50 recommendations.
There is, yes, there is. There's a lot. Don't ask me all of them, but
plenty for you to do. If you think about those 50 recommendations, and I think we've got some of the answer from what you've just said, but what are you most excited about in terms of its impact in the near term? What do you think in those recommendations will have the most impact soon? And then the same question for the longer term. Where do you think we're sort of setting ourselves up for 5 years' time for success?
yeah, so we, as I said in my speech as well, we announced AI growth zones within, we said we will set up AI growth zones across the UK. I'm really excited about that because one of the, what we're looking at is, so the government will play an enabler role where we will like smooth the planning process, we'll support the planning process, ensure that development of data centres is done easily, and we will also support we will look at areas where there is also already access to the energy, to the grid. So we are the potential of the AI growth zones to support growth in not just the London, Cambridge, Oxford Triangle, but other parts of the UK, for the whole country to benefit from the AI growth zones. I think it's quite attractive and quite exciting opportunity. So we've, as I said, we've just we launched it on Monday, and we will now ask for expressions of interest from different areas and from the private sector. The other area, I would say, everyone at the summit has been talking about, and there's conversations around sustainability of AI. So setting up of the AI Energy Council, which brings together the Secretary of State for Energy and the Secretary of State for DSIT, to look at how we bring forward sustainable ways of supporting and the AI growth zones. I think it's really, really interesting as well. And it's an area that everyone's talking about. There are lots. I'm just looking at my my notes, but there are lots of really interesting areas, but one of the it's a really small line within the whole strategy. But I will say we are one of the, so when you look at the AI Opportunities Action Plan, it's like it's 3 areas. It's like the foundations, so the data centres and the infrastructure. The second bit, it's looking at government's role to like diffuse AI, what we need to do to support the growth of AI, looking at reforming procurement processes. But within that area, there is, we talk about setting up a responsible AI development board. Hope I've got it right, Jack. But it is basically one of my key concerns has been that it's this technology is moving so fast. So we spent a whole past couple of years talking about how terrifying AI was. So every front page was about doomsday scenarios, and now we've got the new government who are like, it's all opportunities, isn't it all amazing? And it's moving so fast. How do we ensure that our citizens have a voice and say in shaping what is happening, how it's developing? So this board will bring together civil society organisations, it will bring together unions and experts to make sure that policy development in this area has the voice of our citizens, so that we don't decide everything, then say, pass it on to citizens, but they will have a say in how this is developed. So it's a really small thing, but I think it's really important. Yeah, it's important for me.
We've heard today's agenda has covered a whole variety of issues, from public services to trust, to ethics, to safety. And as you say, that common theme throughout all of those things is citizen trust in the technology to sort of accept its use and diffusion. You've mentioned this council to bring in views. I'd love to hear a bit more about what, other than that, you think the government's role, such as the government has a role, what's the government's role in building that trust and sort of essentially rolling the pitch for adoption?
There is a lot happening across public services. So this week we also announced our AI toolkit, playbook. We announced this week, which is basically policy that's adopted across governments on how they develop and use AI, and so there are very clear steps they need to go through. Like, first thing is, do you need an AI tool on this? So that was adopted, and then we've also had the algorithmic transparency standards, which ensures that where government is using algorithms to make a decision about in any services, that we make that public, so our citizens know where we're using algorithms, where we're using AI tools. But also, but with the wider, I think we need to make sure that that AI is designed and developed with like safety baked right at the beginning. So working with the industry to make sure that is the case. But more widely, as you know, in our manifesto commitments, we set out our plans to bring forward now a piece of legislation that will cover the most powerful frontier models of the future, to build on the voluntary commitment that we had secured with the industry from the Bletchley and the SEAL Summit. So we've got that coming forward. But ultimately, if people don't feel a technology is safe, they're just not going to utilise it. So we really need to make sure that that safety is not an afterthought, but something that's done right from the beginning. And one of the other things that we're really pleased about is that we in this country have a very mature set of regulators. So we want them to look at sector-specific requirements when it comes to AI, and decide what some of those measures are. And the AI Opportunity Action Plan recognises the potential additional burden this will put on our regulators, and the potential need to make sure that they have the capacity and the resources to do this. So there is a lot happening. I absolutely agree. It's really important for government to send out the right messages, and to make sure that our citizens understand what AI, how we use AI, what AI is. There's so much that needs to happen. But there's a lot of work that we need to do, working with local governments, regional governments, to make sure that we are educating our staff, so they know how to use AI. They're confident about how they can use AI, but also how and to go through local and regional governments to deliver some of those programs, education programs, to our citizens, so they know how to use we are already using it on our phones, and most people use and know that they're using it already, but a lot to be done, Ben, a lot to be done.
I've been shown a 1 minute card, so I'm going to ask you one more question, which I think sort of comes to some of the points about trust, some of the points about government as a potential customer, making sure that we have this sort of vibrant ecosystem. And the sort of topic that runs through those, I think, is interoperability, and how we make sure that sort of various, and how the government can ensure this at various different sort of layers of the AI tech stack, it's possible for businesses to sort of move between solutions, especially, as you say, as this technology is developing so quickly. So, I wonder, how is the government thinking about interoperability, and what role for the government there? And then I promise no more questions. One of the really positives about the international collaborations that we have on AI, and I've taken part in several of these international conferences, and it's looking at some of those basic, like the standards, the kind of language that's used in how we describe AI, and the skill sets that are required, but also some of the alignment rounds
around the governance of AI as well. It is really, we need to make sure that our across government that our systems. We did a deep dive into the state of our digital services across government. There's a lot of work to be done. So there's a huge there's huge amounts of investment you need to make into our system. So and even like basic things like collecting data in standardised ways. So a lot of work is being done in that area before we even get to the point where we are looking at interoperability across different departments, which will be absolutely important because you need to be able to have, if you're going to utilise the service within Department of Education, you needed to be able to speak to other departments. So that all of that work is being done at the moment.
Lots to do, lots to keep you busy. We won't keep you from it anymore.
No,
thank you very
great.
much for joining us. I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say thank you very much, Minister.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you.